try to wind up around 6:30 when possible. So you'll have a little bit longer break. How many of you have a class after this? You have a class? Oh, so you just get a little bit longer break. Let me get this minimized. There we go. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take attendance again, even though everybody was here on Monday. I'm not sure what's happening today. Matthew Creek. Hope that many didn't drop. Nicholas. Okay, Nicholas. John, right? Leland's in that one right there. Present. Hi, Gwen. You're Timmy, right? Okay. Ashley's not here. Patrick, right there. Okay, that. I thought you're in, right? Okay. All right. Okay, tonight, if you went over what we were supposed to do here in the first week, since this is an 8-week class, you were supposed to have gone through all of chapter 1, the README section, the intro, and try to do the exercises. 3 of you did email me and tell me you did get those done. I don't remember if it's this class or my online that they had trouble. Somebody had trouble with the exercise. So what I was going to do is, first of all, we're going to look at the summary here. How many's taken the quiz 1? Okay, so y'all got a little bit more time to take it. But here is basically what was covered in chapter 1, and these are the items that really the quiz should be covering, is this part. Which this is the programming part, and this is the actual Python tools that you learned in chapter 1. Let's see, where's this at? Okay, let me turn that off. So anyway, this is what I want you to be able to do before you do the quiz, is to understand that programs are created from code statements. They are commands that do things. And sometimes we call these sequential statements, which is how you execute through a program. Branches decide things, which are your if-else. Loops repeat things. And in Python, how do we do loops? What do we use? Do I remember? What did you use in a loop? What statement? What was it? Yes, while this whatever condition, then you want to repeat over and over. Conditionals help you decide if something is true or false. Assignment sets a name to a value, and a name value is stored in a variable. Okay, over here, these are the things that make it sometimes a little confusing, is, oops, the equal sign and the double equals. And most all languages, this is the way it works, is that you have to remember, because in mathematics, equal meant equality, right? That's what equal meant. So here, it's whenever you put A equals B, it's going to assign whatever value is in B to A. So that's what's called the assignment operator. So if you're using it as comparison, you have to always put the double equals. And that's something different to get used to. And then I had a question about this. I think it was in the other class. But not equals, every language will have a way to do a comparison of not equals. And in Python and a lot of them, it's this. And you can't just put the exclamation part. You have to put it plus the equal sign to mean not equal to. So if you have two values that you want to know. Then, of course, these are greater than, and less than is going to be the other. It didn't even show less than, did it? But it's the opposite. So whenever you see int with parentheses, whatever variable that you put in this means that it's converting it to a number. because when you input a value and the user types it in, it always comes in as a character. And so if you're trying to do a comparison on two variables, if it's something that the users typed in, you have to first convert it to a number if you're comparing it to a numeric. Okay? So that's why they show you their int. And that's true with every language. You have to know what value that you're, whether it's a character, which is a string variable. So the number 5, for instance, if it was used in an address, it would be a number or a character. If you were given somebody's address and it had a 5 in it, what would it be doing? If you gave, or just say this was somebody's address. Okay, so this 5, is it a number or is it a character? Are you going to do a calculation on that number? No. So that means anytime a number is used like this, it's considered a string or a character because you're just using it to label something. Okay, so you have to know how those numbers, because usually we've always thought of a number as a number. But when you are not going to use it in any kind of calculation, then it's considered a string. Okay, how many did not get through chapter 1 yet? Didn't get through chapter 1 yet? Okay, so you need to go through, and it's really easy reading, is why I don't go through the whole thing. But I do have I have a lecture that does go through chapter 1. But one thing that I do want to show you, did anyone have trouble getting their Python on their computer to run or anything? Okay, great. So there's a couple of ways, like this one, when it finished, the problem that they gave you in chapter 1, and also you should have been able to find all of the ebook problems. Here it is. It should have been called Head First Program or hfprog_resources.zip. Did you all find that? Which is all of the problems that they do in the chapter already typed in for you. So if you want to look at the beginning of the textbook, let me go here. Is there anybody that doesn't know where that is? How to find those? You want me to show? If you've all found it, then I won't go through it. Is there anybody that didn't find that zip file? Okay, so I'm going to, let me go back to Pro. Where did that go? I don't know what that just did. Come on, come on.
It's on the drive, correct?
Pardon?
Is on the drive? Is on Google Drive or?
No, they're actually, they have you go to, and I don't know why my book had to close there. Let me see if I can get it back. No, somehow I skipped over to something that I didn't want. Now it's not letting me close it. I'll just close. Okay, let me go back and open the book and I'll show you. It tells you in the beginning of the book. I'll show you. It tells you 2 places that you can go to get it. Wow, it's opening there again. Why is it doing that too? Okay. File, open. Ebook. Okay. I don't know what happened, but anyway, I lost it for a minute. Okay, so if we scroll down here, I believe it's, and I'll enlarge this in a second. Right at the beginning of the book. See if I can find in the introduction where it is. I may have passed it already.
It's on past all.
It is past the contents? Okay.
It's in the reading, how to use this book under, it's like page 31.
Okay, page 30.
It's the Roman numerals, so it's not.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. X. Oh, I like that. There we go. Okay, so here is the 2 locations that you can go to get. This is a link to Head First Labs. And so from here, you can download a zipped file. Should be right here. So you can download this one, which will include all of these files, or you can download each chapter separately. Okay, and those are the completed ones. You'll notice that this page 33 one, I'm going to go ahead and open it in chapter 1, is the completed one. When I open it with idle, I have my preferences set up where it comes up with this blank screen, but you can go into idle, and it's called, I don't think it's preferences on your PC. I think it's something else. But you'll get this up, and you can actually define what font you want. You can do the size of the font here. You can tell it what color, if some of the colors of things. There's certain keys that'll do things. Then the general is where at startup, that's why mine's coming up with the edit window. Yours may come up with the shell window because that's the default. And it's, I prefer the edit window coming open, so I went into preferences and changed mine. And then it says you also have the option to tell it to prompt you before it saves. And that's the only paragraph reformat. So if here is my edit window, so this way I can change it in here. But this is the program that you started, well, part of it, you didn't have this in the beginning. And I can actually go in here and comment these 2 lines with a pound sign, and that causes the browser not to read those 2 lines of code. Okay, so if I wanted it to look like it did in the beginning, print welcome, guess equals 0, while guess is not equal to secret, G equals input, guess the number. So this is a variable named G. This command in Python will cause this to go to the screen and ask the user, okay, guess the number. So you put a number in and it will go into the variable G. And then it says make G an integer. So remember what I was telling you, even if you type in a 5, the browser thinks that it's a character. And so you have to put int in front of it, and then that converts it to a number and puts it in another variable named guess. So there's 2 variables being used here, but the one that you want to compare to secret up here, which this is not going to run because I would also have to change this. It won't run like that. I'll have to change it to do it. You know why? Why would it not run like that? If I comment out, does anybody know? Why would it not run if I comment out that line of code and then I try to run it?
Because secret's not assigned to anything.
Very good. Secret, it will come to secret and it'll say, what's secret? I don't know what secret is. It's not defined. So I have to either change that to, I could leave the pound signs and I could just put a constant here, which would be like any number I wanted, and run it. So what is rand int doing? What is this doing?
Randomizing from 1 to 10.
Very good. It's random. It's a function that's built into Python. So you don't have to know it. You don't have to know the code behind it. there's a function, it's a pre-built function in Python, that if you use it like that and pass it 2 parameters, which that's what these are called, 2 values, you're saying randomize an integer, give me one that's between 1 and 10 inclusive, okay? And so that's what this little function's doing, is every time you run the program, it's going to give you another number and place it in the variable secret, okay? We got it? So then it says, well, guess, and it originally initializes is what this is called, the variable guess. It's going to assign a 0 to start out with, because you don't know what's in that variable. It could be anything in memory of the computer, could just be sitting there. Because what you're doing with variables is you're assigning a certain place in the computer that's a virtual place. You don't see it physically. Engineers do more with the mechanics of, there's actually registers in every bit of the computer, and you assign values to it. Well, it's saying, take a spot in memory, name it secret, and it's just going to be a holder there. And here it says, go ahead and put 0 in this holder, okay, to start out with. It says, while 0 is not equal to secret, whatever it's randomized secret to be, then G equals input, guess the number. So the user's going to try to guess what is in secret. If guess is the same as secret, then print you win. Else, if guess is greater than secret, print too high, else print too low. And then this is part of this while, right? So when it drops out and it's no longer, when guess is the same as secret, it's going to drop down here and say game over. You follow? I follow? So this part here that you're learning, or that you see in this very first program, is everything that you need to know to code, because it's got sequential in it, it's got if-else in it, it's got a while loop. So this little program that they give you in chapter 1 is a really good little example of all of the concepts that we need in order, no matter how complicated your problem is, you're still just going to use those 3 things, okay? So if we go into a little more detail in Python dealing with strings, and that gets a little tougher, dealing with strings and some other things that we'll see here. But this is the very end of chapter 1, the little problem. Now, what I want to do is, because in your project, you are asked to flowchart and pseudocode the problem that I gave you in the project. So we're going to look at some simple ones that have flowchart and pseudocode, so you can see, because it doesn't specifically cover that in this textbook. It doesn't say, hey, this is pseudocode and this is, it doesn't do any flowcharting. But the part in the textbook where, let me go to, I think it's there. The part in the textbook where it has you look at that first problem. Let's see if I can get to it, I think. And it asks you right here, and it asks you to write over here what each line of code is doing. That's a type of pseudocoding, but what we're going to do is actually in our pseudocode, we're going to name our variables, pick out what variables we're going to use, and in our flowchart. This is just a narrative for each line of code as far as what it will do. So here, guess equals int sub g. If guess is the same as 5, print you win, else print you lose, print game over. So each one of these lines, if you looked at it, you should have got something like this. That print welcome is going to display a welcome message. G equals input, guess the number, ask the user to input a guess. And then this one converts the variable to a number. And then this ask, was the guess the same as 5? And here says, tell the user you win, otherwise tell them you lose. Now you'll notice throughout chapter 1, it talks about
it talks about indenting in Python, because that is important. I've never coded in a language that indents made a difference. This is the first language that indenting made a difference, because it does help. I always did indent if then else's like this, but it didn't give you a syntax error if you did not. But in Python, it does. If this print was over here underneath the if, it would give you a syntax error, okay? So it makes you group your if indented, and then the else should line up with the if, and then here. But you don't always have an else. Sometimes you can have an if without an else, okay? And you can have a nested if, it's called, inside that else. So you do a lot of combinations of these concepts or these commands in order to build longer programs. Okay, anybody have any questions about variables? Because it's real important that you understand what a variable is, because you can't write any programs without understanding variables and what they do. Most terms in programming are very logical. Variables comes from the word vary, and that's what they do. They vary, they change on each run of the program, okay? So they store, they're like a placeholder in memory for a value to go in at one run through. Okay, so let's go through to the one that is an example of like your project. And when you go through here, and if you have any problems when you go through chapter 1, you just need to let me know. Did anybody have any problems, the ones who did go through it? Everybody pretty much follow what was going on? Okay. Like this book so far? It's pretty easy. Pretty easy, all these pictures, you know. We didn't used to have pictures in books so much. Okay, so we're going to go through two. I'm going to go next. Thing I'm going to do is I want to look at the example that I put out there under class examples. That's add numbers. But first, all the problem is simply if you're given two numbers, what is the program? How would you get the sum? And so we're going to do a little program to do that. But first, we're going to look at the flow chart and pseudocode to do that. Okay, so here is an example. And these shapes are important. Even though it doesn't talk about it in your book, in Lucid Chart, if you go through the tutorials, and I'm going to go through that here in just a minute, how to get Lucid Chart. These are called terminal shapes, the ellipse. They're terminals. They're for start and end. Anytime you have input or output, you use the parallelogram, which is shaped like this. And you can change the size of it depending on, like, some people put each input in a separate box, but you don't have to. You can put all your input in one parallelogram. It could have said get num1, comma num2. Okay, there's not just one specific way to do it. But you notice how different this is. It's not near as wordy as that explanation that we had in the book for that one. Because what we want to do is we want to say start, get a number 1. And so what's num1 and num2? What are these called?
Variables.
Variables. Good. So a variable can be anything you want it to be. You can make up the name to be anything. And I know this is in all caps. It is really better to make variables in lowercase, because there are some that are uppercase that are called reserved words in most languages. That's what they're called. And they would be uppercase. And so most of the time, I like your variables to be in lowercase, but it's not wrong if you don't do that. It's just easier. And when we talk about constants in chapter 2, I think we talk about constants. A constant is always in all caps. It's a special kind of variable that the value doesn't change. Then this rectangle is what you do for processing steps. You always use a rectangle
if it's a calculation or something that you're going to do with those variables. So here's sum equals, I know it's kind of hard to read, num1 plus num2. That's all there is to this program, and then you print the sum, right? So there's 3 variables, and there's 1 processing statement, and then it ends. So that's the basic symbols that you'll always use. Now, in an if then else, which you won't use that in project 1. It should just be straight sequential. But if then else is a diamond shape, and we'll go into that whenever we get to that. Yes.
Where is that at?
That is actually, it should be in D2L.
Class examples, it's like, it just says the file associated with this content.
And stop there.
It's not there.
Okay, let me put those there right now then. Content. This should be the flowchart and pseudocode. Is that not there on yours?
It says file associated with this content topic cannot be
It's
found.
there, but when you click on it, it goes to a page that says that. it-
Oh.
that.
That's
I
what
didn't
it is.
upload it. Okay. All right, let me just do that right now. Put it right there. And then I need to give you the actual Python too. Oh, it's loading. Okay. All right, so there it should be there if you refresh. And let me go back and add also the upload a file. Okay, this one I will also put the that we're getting ready to run. Okay. All right, so, oh, also where these were at, I just recalled, is in Evernote. See right here at the bottom of Evernote, there was a download one, and that's a download one. But that it's good for them to be in both places anyway. Okay, so I'm going to now look at the Python that goes with, oops, that goes with that problem. Very simple. It just follows my pseudocode, which my pseudocode said display. Let me see, where did that go? Here it is. Okay, it just says start. It doesn't have the display. You can put the display in there, but it's not necessary. You're just saying welcome, right? And if you did a display, which shape would you use? If you said display, if you said print welcome, what kind of shape? Parallelogram, and it would go up here, right? So I'd put a parallelogram up here that said print welcome. And I would add that line in my pseudocode. But that's, you can if you want, but that's not necessary. But if you do it, that's how you would do it. Okay, let me go back to here. Okay, so here, there is one more thing that's done in Python that we didn't put in the pseudocode. This one, because it's a character that's being taken in, then it changes it to a number and puts it in the variable that we used in lowercase. So they had 2 separate variables here, so that one is a character and one is a numeric. So then sum equals num1 plus num2, print sum. So let's see if it runs. Welcome, enter a number. So let's say enter 4, enter a second number, 7. The answer is 11. Okay. So now what if I wanted to, excuse me, if I wanted to change that to where, sorry, to where it multiplies 2 numbers, what would I need to do? If I go over to my pseudocode and flowchart, all I need to do is change right here, right? Yes, change the symbol. Oh, that was actually, I can't in here. I can here, because that was a
image that I pulled over there. So here I would just say multiply is using the asterisk. You can't ever use an X in multiply or a dot. In programming, it's an asterisk always means multiply. Okay. So now if I go over to this one, I would simply change this to an asterisk. And so now when I run it, it should ask me to save. Yes. Now I run it. I put 4, enter 7, and now it's 28, right? Okay, so yes.
I have a quick question. At home,
Uh-huh.
when I run it through idle, like you did,
Uh-huh.
everything runs perfectly. But when I actually have it and I run it, I guess it's actually through Python where it comes up with the little darkened window. Anytime I put any input in, when it gets to the end, it just closes it. You know, like if I open the
Is it doing it
file,
there?
I haven't tried it, but I just know at home when I
Does it send it? Yeah, when you open it, you do it.
yeah like that. When I do it, it just closes out.
Watch, both of them are there, so you hit enter.
Yeah, mine does that at home.
Okay.
Just completely goes away.
Okay, where is idle open? Yeah.
I was gonna reopen and see.
Okay, this isn't actually in. I did file open now. Do you have one downloaded?
No, so I just went over and have my computer and say.
Okay, so go ahead and download that add numbers right there. See, now it's executing it instead of opening it in the editor, that's why. Okay, so now it should be,
Should be in the file.
yeah, so now if you do file, see that, file, see that recent files.
This thing.
Okay, do file open again, that's fine. Yeah, I know, they're terrible. Okay, go to computer and then downloads. That's probably where it is. Go
Just say it does not.
here. Yeah, there we go. Let's see that. There it is. There's downloads. That's where it is. Why did it show us that? Yeah, there we go. Desktop. It went directly. Oh, there it is. Close that. Okay, here it is. Now do run. Python, your run module. Go ahead. There you go. Now.
Yep.
So you have to, Leland, you have to go in and download it. You can't just like double click on it or it opens it as an exe.
Okay.
So if you download it and then open idle and tell idle to open the file,
Okay.
then it should do that. And then it comes up with the white screen.
Okay. Well, that's the only way. I always do it like that, but I just tried it the one day. I clicked on the PY, you know, at the
Yeah.
and it popped up and I was like, well, that's neat. So I put I think it was yesterday and I typed in the stuff and it just disappeared. I was like, well, crap, I don't think that's what happened. So
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Okay, so we got that taken care of. Okay, so so next time, oh, and this will be very helpful to you, the Code Academy. before I do that though, let me show you Lucid Chart. If you look in Evernote, I've given you a link, and I'd like y'all to try this to see if it works. Where'd I put that? Right here. In Evernote, there's a link there to Lucid Chart, and they told me that I have 55 users, because that's all my fundamentals classes, and that you should be able to click on that link, and if you sign in, create your account at that link, that you become my team member without me having to send you an invite. But I couldn't tell if that was working.
It says administrator for organization, Rose State College.
See, that's what I thought. I don't know. I sent him an email and said that. Administrator. So you click on that link, and that's what I have. Okay, try this. I think his name is, because he had one. I don't know if his is working or not. J.G. Thompson. Okay, so if you click on mine, it comes straight to mine. Okay, if we do, let me see, I think it's JGE/Thompson. Let me see if his comes up. It comes up as mine. Okay, try. See what happens if you type in place of my name, just type J.G. Thompson. And see if it comes up as a user.
Free account, right?
Pardon?
The, free
Yeah, let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah, it came up like that even when you did his. But see, that's not going to put you under Rose State. But for this one, project one, if you need to, go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to figure out how to get the team account set up. Because when you do education, it's not found. Okay, I'm going to send them, because they told me, I think I already emailed them and said, hey, it says educational organization not found. Let me do that on a screenshot. Let's see if I do. So if you go to lucidchart.com, you can actually use it as a, you can create a free account, and then you can use it to create your flow chart for the first project. And then I'll get it set up where because I think it only lets you do 5 documents free. So if you can at least do it for project one, and then I will find out what's going on here. Okay. So that'll get you through this first project. I want it to. Well, I'm going to log out and see what happens. So I want it to do that so I can say, do a screenshot of it. Come on, come on. Okay, I'm going to try it again. Let me go here. Boy, it's so slow. There's also what it lets you do in Lucidchart is lets you add it as an app to Google. If you're in Chrome, it'll let you where that it'll be part of when you open this apps. See how mine shows Lucidchart? So you can get to Lucidchart that way also. But, what did I do? I messed up my other thing, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go.
I just did J.G. Thompson, Rose State College.
It did?
Midwest City, Oklahoma, on Lucidchart.
Okay, well, you can join his. That'll be all right. So it's, did you have to put J.G. Thompson at rose.edu? That's what I didn't do. See, they didn't get mine set up. They told me they did, but they didn't. Let me make sure. Where's that at? Release the chart. Yeah, I think I told them. Yeah, I did reply to it.
What's the password?
You should make your own. You should, does it not let you make your own?
You log on to this?
No,
You're creating an account on the right side and you already have an account on the left side.
So go back, yeah, go back.
So I already have one.
You already have one?
Well, just now, I mean, I just created that.
Okay, so log in with your username then and see if it.
Yeah, because you link the account, your account
To-
is.
Oh, okay.
And that's what lets you have more than 5 documents.
Thank you.
See if it works. Okay, so if you have trouble with that, just, you know, just go on and create a free account for this one project, and hopefully I'll hear back from them. And I'll email you as soon as I hear back from them. Okay, so you were supposed to have read chapter 2, but we're not going to start covering it, but the one until next week. But the one thing that I also wanted to show you is that Code Academy, because I can't remember if that's part of, I think it is part of that problem. codeacademy.com, Python. You can learn all kinds of code at Code Academy, but what this one does is it lets you learn some things and by coding it, and then it'll tell you if it's right or not. And you can go through, and there's a lot of practice like with strings and some other things that we'll use later on. And it's pretty good the way, except for it's so slow right here. But if you have some trouble with something that's in Project 1 that's required, something to do with strings, you can be sure and go out to Code Academy and look, because there's a little lesson on strings, okay?
It's neat because it builds on to, like, as you're going through it, when you finish something and you do good at it, it takes you to another.
The next lesson, yeah, and let you go, right.
It sends you little emails along the way saying, hey, you did really good.
You did really good.
Let's come on back and do some more.
Yeah, it is a really good, it teaches other languages too, but it's really good to learn the basics of Python. If you take time to go through Code Academy, it'll help you here in the beginning. Okay, does anyone have any questions? I think everyone had got their Google Drive set up. So Andrew, I know, did. Here's what the only 2 folders that you need. You can call it test or quizzes like he did, and projects. So your project 1 will go inside this folder. Okay, so you have 2 subfolders on your drive. Okay. All right, anybody have any questions? Yes.
When you enclose something inside quotations,
Uh-huh.
what is that?
That makes it print exactly like what's in the quotes. So anytime that you want something to print to the screen exactly like that, then you put it in quotes. Anything else? All right. Oh, I think that I didn't shut this down. Let me go back up here. All right.